Welcome back to the live coverage of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships from the University of Limerick. I am Gigi Morrison, joined by Bjorn Shea. Bjorn, what matchup have we got today?
We've got Molasses Disaster out of Boston, Massachusetts, United States, and HiJinx out of Denver, Colorado, USA. And they, two pretty good teams. I think they have Molasses Disaster's only loss is to HiJinx. So let's see if they can avenge that loss and make it on to the semis.
Yeah, this is bound to be an extremely exciting matchup. This is actually, in fact, one of the semi-finals going on today in the Grand Mixed Masters division. Molasses starting out on offense. Palmer starting with the disc. Dumps it off to Canetti. Finding Cook. Molasses moving the disc very well already. Looking for the deep option. Anderson not able to reel that one in. There has been a call further upfield. There is a foul being signaled.
Was that on the reception or the throw? Looks like on the reception.
We just get another look at that. HiJinx defender Gilman trying to get their body in the way.
Throw a little underthrown, kind of creating the jump ball situation. So we'll see what they talk about here. And now you see the game advisor coming in to help advise on the situation. And we see the hand signals for the contested foul. The crossing of the arms is the foul. The fists together is the contest. So it'll go back to the thrower.
The game advisors are allowed to provide clarification of the rules and their opinion of what they might have seen, but their opinion is not final. They are not game observers or referees. So Cook on disc again, throws it further deep to Kaplan. Kaplan finds a dump. And Kinley, one of the stats leaders for this Molasses team. High release, floaty flick, again to Cook. Cook with the fakes. Trying to move a force out the way, inside flick into the hands of the HiJinx defender. HiJinx now on offense with an opportunity for a break. Strunk. Another call as Crawford goes to turf.
Shania Crawford, you might remember, is a large figure in the Premier Ultimate League, playing with Atlanta, and also helped do a lot with the Color of Ultimate, a tour which ran through the United States and celebrated BIPOC players in the Ultimate community.
So it has been wonderful to watch that grow and develop, even from the UK screens. HiJinx center to Gilman, another pick downfield. A lot of calls already for this very first point. The wind has started to pick up a bit more during this game. It is getting blustery, but it's nowhere near as bad as it has been towards the start of the week. Crawford, again, believing that there is a foul. They're having a good discussion here.
And Neubecker is one of the best, most athletic players on Molasses Disaster, and Crawford, an accomplished player herself. So we'll see a good battle between these two, which we've already started with.
Make sure that if you are watching along at home, you can say hi to us in the comments. We are trying to keep track of everything. If not, on the WFDF YouTube channel, feel free to reach out to us on social media.
And be sure to subscribe if you want to comment.
just off the hands of Gilman. Molasses with another opportunity for this first point hold as Canetti walks up to the disc. Vertical stack in the center, high release flick, it is floating. There are two defenders and the defenders get the better position. No call on that one.
That was a tough one for Kinley to read. He did his best by backing up and not jumping too early, but at the end of the day, too many defenders came over.
So Marquette with the big throw downfield. Anderson does a little stumble, not able to get down there as fast as she wanted to.
Looked good coming out of the thrower's hands, but just dove a little bit.
There we get another look at that defensive bid up in the air from HiJinx. Molasses getting another opportunity, looking immediately deep, finding it this time, but just outside of the end zone, into the hands of Anderson. And again, Kinley to Anderson in the end zone, giving Molasses the hold to start off this game. What a point.
Yeah, not as clean as they'd probably like it. A little sticky on their hands, if you will, but Molasses pulls it out. I'm sure we'll see a lot cleaner offense throughout the rest of this game. Those two teams just getting out the jitters.
It does take a couple of points to adjust to this windy condition. Ireland having very fluctuating weather types, so we've had rain, we've had sunshine, we've had wind, we've had cold, we've had heat, all within the space of about a few minutes. And the players are also having to adjust to get another look at that one. Kinley just floating that one out wonderfully.
Kinley, one of the best short-range throwers as far as breaking and putting it to different spaces. He was part of the Seattle Sockeye powerhouse that kind of invented small ball as it is now in the United States.
We've seen a lot of North American teams use that small ball style, and it's very dangerous. It's hard to guard as well. As soon as somebody is able to get hold of the disc, they're already considering moving it along. HiJinx, big expansive cuts, having to go to turf, and perfectly picked up by Deaver. Up the line to Nolt. Nolt looking immediately deep as well, into the hands of Glick, but just out of range.
Yeah, a lot of contact there, but that was just such an underthrown ball that the receiver had to come back through the defender, so there was no call to be made there.
Bit of a poachy set from HiJinx, trying to slow Molasses down. Dana to Wilson. Wilson slightly higher than wanted, but Flynn finds it really well. Flynn going low on the backhand there. Receives it again. This is some of that quick small ball movement that we are seeing. Seaver, there has been a call on the previous throw.
I believe that's Suzanne Jones calling something on Marie Oshiro. So it's going back to Oshiro.
Come on, Mel. Come on, Mel. You're good, Mel. You're good, Mel.
Disc back into play. Trying to find an option. Stall count rising, but does eventually find Seaver. Back to Wilson. Another pick call.
Come on, D.
This does stifle the flow of the offense whenever there is a pick after pick. Players staying a little too close to each other. They are going to run into each other eventually.
Yeah, not a very well-formed stack.
Flynn also trying to call for some options, has two of them, but Marquette does really well in reading that. Seaver on the sideline, finds Flynn again, and another pick call.
Being aggressive with that up the line, not really paying attention to how close they were going to the thrower. That's an easy way to create a pick.
It would be nice to see this stack organize itself a bit more They don't have to run into each other as much. But Flynn is checked back in, and another pick. We have a comment on the stream from Mike Miller, who is also a Molasses player, sadly watching from home. But thank you very much for tuning in, wanting to support your team. We're very happy to have you here.
So Molasses only about 10 meters outside of the upwind end zone. A great throw, a popped up break.
Well reeled in by Dana.
The first defender flies by. Both offensive players stay on the ground and are able to use their superior positioning to make the catch.
So that is a break for Molasses. Not the cleanest of points. Obviously, we saw the turnover from HiJinx. Some miscommunications going on, a lot of picks, which did stifle the flow. And as we see this high release flick soaring into the end zone, but thankfully very well read by the Molasses receiver.
And Dana with a pretty big point down the field, and a lot of up the line cuts from Molasses to keep the disc alive. So that's how their defensive offense is going to work.
And you'll see some of the players standing with their arms stretched out. That is to signal that they would like the gender ratio to be 4 women to 3 men, at least of the representing ratio. And under WFDF rules, that means that the gender majority does have to pull as well. So this would mean that female presenting players will have to pull, but Molasses opting for the opposite. HiJinx deep in the end zone, but managed to get it right all the way out to the brick mark. Gets the disc moving. Krutzinger looking for options, but the defense is doing a really good job stifling any flow. Disc has to go deep and soars out to the sideline. Molasses must be very happy about that one.
Yeah, and based on the flight of the throw, you got to think it's coming in at probably at half field or so. It never came back in, so it's going to be way back there.
We do see the game advisor moving and calling for the disc to move in further down, as you mentioned, Bjorn. I have seen some game advisors actually with brightly colored bean bags, and they'll throw it onto the sideline rather than having themselves stand there, and I think that's a really good option.
Yeah, I think that idea was invented in American football. They always do it where like a fumble occurs, or where balls bounce out of bounds on punts.
Much more flamboyant throw in the air though with their flags rather than just a little beanbag tossed onto the ground.
Right. They have beanbags as well as the penalty flags. So the beanbags are much more subtle.
So Kinley from Molasses. Again, as you mentioned earlier on, that small ball, he seems to like getting the disc moving and then moving immediately off of that. Oshido into the hands of the HiJinx defender. HiJinx again with an opportunity, looking immediately deep.
That was a beautiful
Finn.
throw.
Not Finn, sorry, that was Glick. But again, it back into the hands of Molasses. Molasses again shooting straight deep, has Kinley deep. Is read a lot better. Finds Oshido in the end zone, giving Molasses their second break. HiJinx are wanting to call this timeout now.
Wow, that's a tough break because the defender was there, made a great hustle effort for the play, but Kinley just read it well, knew he didn't have to jump, and now Molasses is up 3-0.
That was a very difficult long shot to have to defend. It was really well put. There was Marquette shooting deep. The HiJinx receiver just not getting close enough, but Kinley has the better read, and then Oshido completely free in the end zone. HiJinx now taking a bit of a timeout, probably trying to recollect their thoughts, have some discussions as to what they want to do after this timeout.
Yeah, I think Molasses is just playing pretty good D, and HiJinx are just holding the disco a long time. They clearly have a couple great huckers. Those were 2 good throws the pass points, several good throws to pass points into the wind, but they're just being set up poorly and not coming with any timing in the flow of the game. So they need to figure out how they're going to structure their cuts to take advantage of those throwers who can clearly throw. Kurtzinger in specific has shown great ability to throw, so I'd like to see them utilize her to hit some receivers downfield.
So you mentioned earlier on that these teams have faced up against each other already. HiJinx having won all of their games except for their game against Molasses Disaster.
I think I said it backwards then, so sorry about that. I had it completely backwards. So HiJinx have won all their games, and Molasses are only 4-3 then.
Yeah, so HiJinx could be in a better position, but it is much more difficult to play up against a team that you've already played against and try and get a result the second time. It'll be interesting to see how this game will turn around, but Molasses are looking dominant so far out of this time out. How will HiJinx respond?
This would be a devastating point for HiJinx not to score. With the wind at their backs, down 3-0.
Cray gets him moving to Crawford. Crawford looking immediately under, finds it, but two receivers grabbing at the same time. If they both got it at the same time, this should go to the offense.
Right. Kinley's not letting go, neither is the receiver. That's Adam Werner, who's if it's a tie, it has to stay with the receiver, but looks like it's going to go back.
It's very difficult to judge from that angle, but as you mentioned, yeah, neither of them wanted to let go of that. The sideline players are allowed to review the footage from our monitors and make a decision from that if they would like to.
I don't think we're at that point of the game yet where people are going to be coming over here.
So lots of cuts coming under for HiJinx, but all of them being shut down. Cray back on disc, further up to where the pull had initially started, and that is just dropped out of the fingertips. Molasses with a short field now, getting really close to the end zone. Darling just overthrows.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where the receiver got stuck trying to decide if they should make a stab at it or turn and run. I think if they had turned and run earlier, they would have got there. Looks like a foul in the throw. It's incomplete, but a foul in the throw.
I was going to say it's quite an ambitious shot. That must be something that he's definitely thrown a fair bit before, but just came off the defender.
Oh, looks like no call.
Get another look at that one. Yeah, it didn't look like there was any contact between the players, so the disc will go back to Molasses. Sievert dumps it off to Kinley. Kinley again looking at a lot of cuts, but eventually finds Dana.
You see Kinley's comfort throwing to either side. He keeps the mark on their toes with two ways, by pivoting back and forth, but by also threatening to take off running in the direction he's going to throw it. So the defender's trying to predict that and starts to back off and able to run to keep up with him.
Stockart rising. Dumps it off to Kinley again. Has to break the force, and that was beautiful. Thankfully, Flynn was able to reel that in. And this HiJinx defense is slowing Molasses down. They do find Seaver. Seaver to Kinley into the front of the end zone. Again to Flynn.
Wow. So 4-0, a huge point into the wind. You see, again, not to sound redundant, but with Kinley at the wheels of the offense, or the wheel of the offense, the Molasses offense stays very calm in front of that end zone, works it side to side, and only takes the 100% shots.
I do love watching some North American teams play, just the flow that they have. Even if they're teams that have not necessarily trained together for a long time, like both of these teams have, but you can tell just how ingrained some of their structures are. and they're so confident in being able to move the disc quickly, just so that the defender can't have an opportunity to set up, as we see there from Kinley receiving the disc and immediately popping it off for the score.
Yeah, very impressive there. So now a big score into the wind. Now Hijinks again, really needing a score. This time going into the wind. Let's see who can put it in the wind. We've got Krutzinger out there who threw a couple beauties into the wind last time. Let's see if she can do it again.
We have seen Hijinks already on the stream. That was against Cursive. That was a universe point win to Hijinks. If you want to watch that back, that is live all the time on the WFDF YouTube channel, brought to you by Ulti TV. That pull is just out on the sideline.
Coming into that front cone because it rolled out, I believe.
This is unfortunately quite difficult for us to see, as there are a lot of people standing in front of the commentary booth, but well defended, well read by Altobelli.
To be honest, that was the perfect pull with this wind, and the reason it was a perfect pull is that very situation. Very difficult to get out of there.
Marquette. Super easy, so casual, so confident, and as you mentioned, Bjorn, that pull is what got the D for them. Obviously, they had Altobelli poaching off in the lane and getting the run through D, but it's a team defense. When you've got a pull that good and you're set up on that front corner, it's so difficult to be able to move off. It's really fantastic work from Molasses.
Yeah, they were just simply not scared of a deep shot, so the female defender there was just way under, and the thrower had no choice but to throw it right into her.
It looks like Hijinks have taken another time out, judging by the fact that they are circled up. Both teams are circled up, and just as both of the teams take a quick breather, we will also take a quick break. We will see you in a few. Welcome back to the coverage from WMUCC, live from the University of Limerick. You're currently watching the Grandmaster Mixed semi-finals, 1 of 2 going on today. The other one will be streamed. That will be Surly versus, I cannot remember the name of the other team, but I will have a look at it in a second. Be Surly versus Happy Campers. That will be streamed next. But we currently have Hijinks versus Molasses Disaster. A super confident start from Molasses. Bjorn, how's this game gone so far?
An inability of the Hijinks offense to really progress up the field in any meaningful way, and the Molasses Disaster playing confident, calm offense and putting it in every time. Number 42 really working hard out there. Adam Werner almost makes an incredible catch. He and Kinley have been on each other nearly every point, and Kinley's definitely got the best of him, but I think Werner probably has a receiving edge if he can get a nice throw.
Yeah, that is a matchup that has been super exciting so far in this game. Werner trying to shut Kinley down, but Kinley is almost unstoppable. As Molasses now get the disc moving again. Seaver finds the inside to Kinley. Kinley breaks around. Well read by Altobelli.
Yeah, Kinley, a great thrower, not in the big booming sense, but in the move it side to side, find all the angles sense.
Flynn, stall count rising, but finds Kinley. Another break shot to Oshiro. Seaver. Around to Marquette. Marquette looking for Kinley, finds him. Kinley seems to be nearly every other pass for this offense. There is some sort of call.
Looks like there was a call several seconds ago, so the Kinley called the timeout.
It's an interesting call, a timeout when you're at about your brick mark. Your stall count is probably sitting at around about 6 or 7, so you don't have very long to figure out what you need to do next, but taking that time out to maybe resort your offense?
Maybe he just saw some of his favorite receivers just need a breather, you know? Or maybe he himself needed a breather. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and see if they turn it over right away, it was the wrong decision. But if they don't, it was the right decision.
It will be interesting to see, because I can understand that Molasses will just want to get themselves organized in their structure, be completely set, but how will HiJinx adapt to that? They haven't been able to stop Molasses thus far.
Yeah, I think Kinley will do what HiJinx didn't do down here at the corner. His first look is going to be off the sideline because he knows how hard of a position this is to throw it down the field to get any significant yardage. So he's going to push it across the field right away because he knows that's the way to move the disc forward, is to go across and then up.
It's definitely, and he is working upwind as well.
So I bet 77 goes up the line here, and then 35 behind him goes back. And if he'll probably end up hitting 35 on the swing.
Immediately shoots
wrong.
deep. HiJinx defenders in the end zone, 3 bids, but none of them come up.
Well, I was right yesterday on that play I called. I was completely wrong there, but really it shows how hard that throw is, even for a great thrower like Kinley. It's really hard to throw into that wind and either not make it hang or not dive completely to the ground.
D'Onofrio tries to throw to Strunk, but just bids too far. Strunk down.
Hopefully he didn't hurt his shoulder there. A lot of times when you see someone digging really deep, ends up being a shoulder, especially for one of our lighter brothers, not our thicker brothers. They don't have as much holding those shoulders together. I never had to worry about that, but I could see him as a slender lad needing to.
He is clutching his ribs, so I hope that he is actually feeling okay. Nothing too serious, but still taking the injury that is obviously the best option. Take the points off, don't hurt yourself any more than you have to.
It looks like he's going to be all right.
So HiJinx have turned, giving Molasses another opportunity for a break. Kinley dumps and Jinx down the line. Finds Dana. Dana, another player we will be saying a lot on this stream.
Yeah, again, she's been the main downfield contributor from the female matching players for Molasses.
Flynn to Dana. Dana fakes, dumps it back to Kinley. Kinley on the sideline again, looking deep. Will this option come off this time? It does. Perfectly read by Neubecker.
A great throw like Kinley. You saw him mess up that previous throw up the line out of the timeout. And you kind of learn your lesson. You kind of get a little physical feedback, a little muscle memory. You know what that disc is going to do now. So he knew how to adjust. Make sure the next time he throws that throw, it's going to curve where he wants it to throw. So he put it more out of bounds, let the wind pull it back towards the receiver.
Yeah, maybe that first shot that you hadn't anticipated was just a little practice throw, maybe figuring it out for the next turn.
Exactly, a practice swing. And you saw, yeah, that one was far more along the sideline, let it pull back into the field instead of throwing into the field and it diving over the receiver's head. So good job. Great defensive pressure by Molasses, and they get the upwind break.
Yeah, out of the timeout, Kinley looking deep immediately, which is not what we were expecting. You called it something completely different, which is probably the thing he should have done.
I'll talk to him after the game about it.
But we can provide as much opinion as we like. We are just in the booth. We don't have to be on the pitches right now, probably to our benefit and to everyone else's benefit, depending on how you look at it.
For sure, it's quite easy to be an armchair quarterback.
So Molasses with another break. That is their 5th break in a row. High disc, but HiJinx reeled that one in. It was misread by Molasses. Another high disc straight over the top and out of the sideline.
Those were two pretty good, that was a great in cut, but maybe just a little too far for the thrower to keep it down.
Ferguson checks in on the sideline. Dumps it down the line. Fantastic grab. What a hand from Kaplan.
That was quite a Odell Beckham Jr. there. Stick out one paw and reel it in.
Ferguson still on the sideline. Dumps it over to Finn. And back to Ferguson. Ferguson, quick release again to Kaplan. Almost by the fingertips of the HiJinx defender. But Kaplan just outside the end zone. Quick backhand over the top, bidding receiver. And Molasses again. That was Derling for the score. What is happening here?
Yeah, the Molasses showing they don't need Kinley to score, especially with the wind. All the throwers seem to really let the wind carry it past well-positioned defenders, which is got to be heartbreaking for the defender to do the hard work, be in position, and have a disc just soar right over your head and drop in the receiver's hands.
Yeah, you mentioned well-positioned defenders because HiJinx are doing exactly the right thing. They're putting and applying so much pressure on every single pass. You saw a lot of defenders getting right in the way, almost streaking through, getting fingertips onto it. But you can just see the fact that Molasses are still taking on these options of quick, high-release backhands. A lot of break shots. They trust their receivers so much.
Yeah, they're not trying to throw in, the mistake of HiJinx right there, trying to throw a 45-yard under is really difficult in this wind. Molasses really content to take every throw under 10 yards. They're just going to dink and dump and not take any chances.
Cray chooses to brick that rather than take it in from the sideline here.
Seems to be the general consensus, unless it's maybe 35 yards up the field. Always preferable to be in the middle of the field.
Lots of space in the middle of the pitch for the cutters. Crawford was free. Instead choosing to dump it off to Gilman. Cray. Back to Wadsworth. Finding Crawford. There is a pick downfield. This comes in pretty quickly. Again, Crawford moves it back off to Lindberg. Lindberg finding Glick in the front of the end zone. HiJinx, that looks so easy and simple for them for their first point, bring it to 7-1.
Yeah, they regained a little sanity there, spread the field out, and really enjoyed the wind at their backs. We haven't gotten a chance to say some of those players' names because they haven't played much offense, but you can't forget how great Shania Crawford is when given the opportunity to cut. She was always open there, and glad they were able to utilize her in the middle of the field, and they really kept that field stretched out going down the field, which made it quite easy for them.
Yeah, that did seem to make a big difference. We saw in some other points when HiJinx were playing through their offense that they were in a really tight vertical stack which didn't give each other enough space to be able to move, but it also generated so many picks that whenever they did start to get any flow, it was immediately stopped.
That's a good point. Yeah, hard as a cutter to get to set up your next cut when you're having to stop every time. You can't get your defender on their heels at all.
So Hijinks have now stopped Molasses' break roll for now. Can they bring a little bit of a comeback into this first half? Molasses bringing out their O-line for the first time in a while. Canetti getting it moving to Hibbard. Back to Canetti. Immediate deep shot, has a tall receiver, but again, just a little too overthrown. You could hear Hijinks calling for home and away. They were probably having some sort of forced middle.
That's probably exactly what they were doing. The thrower had a decent look at it, but maybe because the offense hasn't been on that much, not a chance to feel out the wind, and it just got completely eaten up and taken away by the wind, which is blowing in exactly that direction.
Manning on the front end zone line. Dumps it off to D'Onofrio. Over to Deaver. D'Onofrio up the line from Deaver. That was a very good shot. Weighted perfectly into the chest. There is a foul call further upfield though. Some discussion going on pitch, but without any hand signals, we can't actually tell what's really going on.
Some of the American teams have done a better job of using hand signals than others. It's not something that it's typically done with USAU. And I think because of it's especially important for WFDF. I think the Europeans use it a lot more because of all the different languages that exist around Europe, that it becomes critical for understanding between players. And I think U.S. players sometimes take it for granted that everybody understands what you're saying. So some USA players a little slow to pick up on it, to our regret here in the booth.
That is a very good point, something I hadn't necessarily considered. We have Bogle. Sorry, that's not Bogle, that is Strunk. Strunk back on the pitch after having come off from an injury, from a massive bid. Huge grab there from Manning.
Yeah, very confident jump by Manning in this win. Not the easiest thing to read.
A couple of players.
The receiver wants to play on. She's not saying she was fouled, she just slipped. But everybody assumed there was a foul, so therefore it's going to be a stoppage. And we see our man who laid out earlier and had to come off the field. I think that if he had a shoulder or a rib injury, sometimes you think they're okay and you start to go out there and breathe hard, especially with ribs, and you notice that the ribs really do hurt, then you didn't notice when you stopped breathing hard.
Yeah, I've had a rib injury before myself, and it's not pleasant at all. He should definitely not be playing right now. Should see a medical professional. But again, we can say as much as we want from the booth, but it is up to him ultimately what he does. Play continues. D'Onofrio on disc. Finds a wide forehand across the pitch to Wadsworth. Wadsworth looking for the break, trying to find Werner. Werner having to bid quite a lot already, and nothing coming up for him yet.
Yeah, Werner being a main cutter on that point, and then having to guard Kinley on other points. Not the easiest task they're giving him.
Canetti not looking at very many cuts, but does find Ferguson.
A little stagnant for Molasses here.
Finn up the line from a lead pass. Inside shot to Canetti.
You might remember Finn from her maiden name, which was Joseph. She played college ball at NYU and was a great player for Blackbird and Nemesis in Chicago before marrying Bill Finn, who's another great player.
So just off the hand of the defender, Wadsworth. It looks like there is an uncontested foul call. There was quite a high stall count as well, so that was possibly a little bit of a Hail Mary foul.
Yeah, he got bailed out there for sure.
Canessi finds the break around, really wide pivot. Fingertips just brought up by Finn. Fantastic read on that disc. That was wonderful.
Wow, thrown low and behind, and Finn digs it out of the earth.
So Molasses have taken half now, 8-1. Extremely dominant showing from this Molasses side. HiJinx have a lot to answer for in the second half. And just as the players are going to take a little bit of a break, we will also take a break. Please do stay tuned, grab yourselves a snack, grab yourselves a drink, maybe some coffee, cup of tea, maybe a beer, depending on what time zone you're in. We will also take a quick break. We will see you in a few minutes.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, UltimateTV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Hey, where?
before this, I'm fine. The woman place is so great. You fill that one. I mean, I'm okay with this because I mean, it's going to go. I either want like really close or really good. So this is fine. As long as it's like 8, 9 at the time. As long as you get how much of it.
Hey, 51, get out of there, 51! Get out of there!
I know, it's not coming across with us. Quickly!
Over there, Meyer, go to the line. Meyer, help me!
Welcome back to WMUCC live from the University of Limerick. You are currently watching the second half of one of the Grand Mixed Masters semi-finals, Hijinks versus Molasses Disaster. We saw an extremely dominant first half from Molasses. Hijinks now having to answer to an 8-1 deficit, looking immediately deep, trying to find the receiver, having to bid. That was Fuzat, not able to come up with it.
Fuzat, a really athletic player out of Houston, Texas. His son Xavier actually plays for University of Texas right now, my alma mater. So I'm a big fan of him and his family. Fuzat was once actually on American Ninja Warrior, trying out for that. If you know what that show is.
Dana there with the second attempt rescue, then getting a little bit of a chest bump from this cup. Hijinks trying to stifle anything that Molasses put up against them with this zone. Molasses breaking extremely easily. That's Kinley, a very experienced thrower. Again, Bjorn, you've said this over and over again. His short ball game and his shorter throws are what make him a better player. And Dana having to read this. Can she get it again? Does not realize that the disc was up in the air for her to get. Hijinks now with their opportunity.
Everybody looking like they drank a little bit of Johnny Walker, the team from last round here at the halftime. So let's see if they can get out the nerves and play a little smoother.
A couple of drops. Kinley attempting that throw again, does get it off to Dana. We are well, that's the second throw that we've seen from Kinley where he's had to go for a second attempt success rate.
It helped that the 6 foot tall defender wasn't around.
Wow. And Darling comes up with that. That was difficult for us to see, but my goodness, Hijinks not able to stop Darling in the air there.
I don't know how he caught that. I don't know if he caught it on the first or second attempt, but let's see what we see in the replay.
That was Kinley again with the longer shot. It's almost as if he heard me saying that his shorter throws were really good and thought, you know what, I'm just going to take on a deep shot. We see that second attempt grab from Dana. That was beautiful work. And Kinley surveying the pitch, sees his option. Wow. Immediately comes down for it.
It looks like he and the defender shared first contact but it just bobbled in. He did a good job of keeping his body underneath him, the receiver did, and was able to secure it with his stomach and chest.
Molasses now 9-1 up. A break out of the second half. Their D-line is now having to work downwind. That is a very advantageous position for them to be in. HiJinx struggling in the wind so far.
Yeah, HiJinx only point so far going downwind. So this would be a first for them if they can pull this off.
Nolt. Low reception, but manages to keep hold of the disc from Deaver. Deaver going to the knee, but manages to get it off again. Nolt on the sideline. Offhand, backhand. Deaver back to Nolt. HiJinx doing very well to keep this moving. Lots of quick passes between the handlers, then dicing through to the first cutter in the front of stack. Don't currently have number 6 on our roster, so I'm not sure who that player is, but very bright pink socks and boots. Nolt. Across to Cray. Lots of quick options, using the entire width of the pitch. This is fantastic movement. They are slowly gaining yards.
Yeah, it looks like Deaver's the one who's really the one gaining yards. The gentleman in the back just kind of swinging it back and forth until she's ready to get another gainer for him.
And there we go. We see the first big gainer. Swearin.
Swearin, yep.
Uncontested foul through the pivot. Yeah, Swearin having to go to ground after catching the knee of number 76 Neubecker. It's uncontested. Check back in. Nolt not seeing very many cuts. Does have Glick coming under, but was well marked out. Deaver fakes, throws off. Tries to go back in for the 7, but not free. There is a pick call further upfield, but the players are not aware of it.
It's Matt Cree with the disc. Looks like it's going to stay with him because the pick was away from the play. So this is probably one of the best. This is the best position that HiJinx have been in going into the wind. A good thrower, no mark, only 25, 30 meters outside the end zone. See if they make the most of it.
So far, this is the cleanest that we've seen HiJinx. I say cleanest. It's the fewest turnovers that we've seen with the most amount of passes, but there have been a fair few stoppages.
Yeah, they're really doing a better job, kind of taking a play from Molasses' book of spreading out the handlers and moving side to side, like you mentioned.
Having a discussion with the game advisors as well. Game advisors wearing some lovely green tops provided by VC Ultimate, outfitting the world's best Ultimate players, game advisors, volunteers, and media crew since 1998.
I have greatly enjoyed my VC green shirt all week to let everybody know that they can ask me questions that I won't know the answer to.
Lots of discussions going on, but it seems to stay in the hands of Cray. Cray currently unmarked, so has an extra second or two to figure out what's going to happen. Now the offense begins again, looking deep, up the line, into the end zone, upwind, finds Nolt, giving HiJinx their second point, and finally breaking into the second half.
Yeah, perfect throw. And when you give a great player that much time to think about what they want to throw, especially as the wind has calmed down, they really make the other team pay. Nobody really in position to come over the top to help there, which you really usually see into the wind throw.
But that is a shot that we've seen a couple of times now throughout this game. That forehand arcing into the end zone. People seem to have figured out how to weight that disc properly, and it is a beautiful shot.
Yeah, it's really important to put it as far as you can to the back cone because the wind's going to pull it short and pull it in. So put it as far as you can to the back cone and let the wind help you pull it back to the receiver.
So for anyone that is joining us on the stream from Sunny Sunny Limerick, please do keep contacting us in the comments. We do try to keep our eyes on the comment section. Hello to everyone watching and supporting the teams. We have a lot of Molasses Disaster supporters. Do we have any HiJinx supporters in the comments? Please do let us know. It is wonderfully sunny here today in Limerick. We have another full day of action coming tomorrow, as well as 2 more games for the rest of today. But here now, Molasses getting the disc moving. Canetti moves over to Anno. Back to Canetti. Looking immediately up the line into the hands of Anderson, just outside the end zone. Canetti receiving it again, being a talisman for this offense. Around break. Tries to look immediately for the break, and there is a pick in the stack. Again, very clustered together.
Yeah, not clean, not using the, when I set a stack, I usually like to have the last person on my stack in an end zone with their feet maybe on the back line, if they're not even close to that.
You're trying to provide as much space as possible and able to jink that one into the end zone. Unable to see who scored that one. I believe that might have been Seaver.
Yeah, that was interesting because Kinley was on the field there, but Kinley never touched the disc. He's almost just drawing a lot of attention in the middle of the field away from the rest of the players, and they showed their competency moving up the field without him. And so really a good confidence booster for Molasses, and a great way to use Kinley as almost a decoy. He made some cuts from the middle of the stack and drew some attention, and the rest of the team was able to move smoothly up the field.
Apologies, that was Ferguson that got the score there for Molasses. And as you said, Bjorn, that was a super effective tactic, drawing all the defenders away, or at least as much of them as possible, to give the rest of Kinley's team an opportunity to get the point. So now, a very dominant game already, 10-2. How do you think HiJinx should respond to Molasses already being super dominant over them?
Well, you can only play 1 point at a time, and they showed what they can do last point. They're going to probably do the same thing. Keep three handlers back, try to move it back and forth as much as possible, and take the shot when they get about 25 yards out. Because they do have probably the better deep shot so far this game. They've just been in bad position.
So the pull has been bricked, being swaggerly walked in by Cray, looking at a lot of space. HiJinx giving each other a lot of room to be able to cut. It's effective. Being able to find Nolt. Has an undercut from Jones. Finally finding Werner. Werner able to get fingers onto the disc. Dumps it off to Nolt. Another pick further downfield. That stack has clustered again. Checked in. Nice to see a super quick resolution. Kinley coming bidding through. Apologizing profusely though.
Yeah, it looks like he thought he had a shot. He read the play right, but the disc was thrown with enough swiftness that all he could do is bail out and try not to hurt anybody.
It's quite good body control from Kinley there.
So Kinley and his man switch it.
Cray looking instantly deep. A lot of receivers underneath it. Tipped off the fingertips. And again, Werner putting his body on the line. We've seen a lot of bids from him trying to save the disc as much as possible. I think Hijinks owe him definitely at least one beer.
Yeah, he's a hard worker. He looks like he's 22, so he better be out there working hard.
Brzezinski going so deep and just well defended. There might be a call on that one.
The deepest shot we've seen from Kinley, and a good one too. It looks like Brzezinski may have just waited on it too long, underestimated the catch-up speed from the defender, Nolte. So great play by Nolte, and maybe a little too greedy by Brzezinski.
Sadiva throws it into the back of Palmer. The backwards cap from Molasses. Palmer on disc now. Another pick in the end zone.
And that's Christopher Palmer, whose brother is also on the line, or also on the field, Jonathan.
Palmer fakes the backhand break, looks for the inside flick, finds it in Dana. Dana, somebody that we've been mentioning a lot already, and she is proving to be a force to be reckoned with. Fantastic work from Molasses.
Yeah, Dana is she's done the most work underneath for Molasses for sure. Palmer probably should have dumped a little sooner there, but got away with it because of the excellence of Dana. And you also see Kinley, it might have been a little slip up by Brzezinski not catching that one, but when you have a bit of wind behind you, it's almost never a terrible idea to just send it down the field and play a little defense, because it is so hard to score into the wind.
Hello to everyone watching from home. We do have some family, we have some partners, some sons watching as well. We have Bob Darling's son. We have somebody saying, "Let's go, Shane." Shania, sorry.
Yeah, Shania, I'm sure, has a big crowd back in the States with all the lives that she's touched across the country, touring around, helping spread the word of Ultimate.
So Molasses with a big pull. It does arc out of bounds. That will be bricked. Hijinks seem to be setting up quite deep already. Hopefully giving each other plenty of space to cut. Wadsworth will be bringing in the pull to start off their offense.
And this is where they look the best, going downwind. So let's see if they can. There's Shania again open.
Has been a pick called. Yeah, Shania has proven to get free so easily. She seems to be unstoppable. Crawford tries to go deep. It has to be dumped off to Wadsworth. There is another pick. This checked in again, finds the under to Crawford. Crawford able to tow it in. That was amazing work from Crawford.
Yeah, it looks like she was going to be easily and bobbled it and then had to worry about the sideline after the initial play. Oh, no.
Glick goes for the backhand to Gilman. Gilman having to go to grass for that. Not able to hold on. It was a fantastic option, but just the execution a little bit off. Moss has got a few cuts coming under, finding Marquette. Another pick in the stack. Marquette blades over the top. Receiver not able to reel that one in. That was Anderson. The disc sailed over the top. Wadsworth for Hijinks. Finds a beautiful break, but again, the execution. This wind is proving to be very difficult for these players. It is starting to pick up. It is getting swirly. sideline is getting very loud. Both teams really wanting this point. Flynn steps through
Great
for
inside.
the flick. Seaver. Anderson. This is rising stall count. Not very many options. Finds the around backhand. Casually caught by Seaver. No call there. Well blocked.
Yeah, maybe a little too casual, trying to do the little scoop backhand instead of a good, solid step out that might have gotten the disc to his receiver.
We do have a dog in the commentary booth currently. It is smelling around for food. Not sure who the owner is. A Hijinks. High release backhand to Gilman. Gilman looking instantly deep. Has Glick going. Is tipped off
Wow.
by Altabelli, apologies.
Yeah, it was a great, great throw. Altabelli just timed her jump perfectly to tip it away from the open receiver.
Yes, that was a fantastic read. Kaplan looking for a dump cut, but there is another pick. Their offensive flow again stifled by pick after pick. Crawford on force. It's able to be broken. Disc is in the hands of Cho. Dumped off to Seaver. Finds Marquette. Over the top of Seaver. Well read and reeled in by Hijinks.
That was Gilman with the D. A great jump.
Gilman has been doing so well on defense, but Wadsworth, again, too casual.
Patrick Gilman pulled a swaggy P and threw the disc, walked off the field thinking the bucket was in. And unfortunately, the receiver had other ideas. Looks like a timeout. And that'll be the second timeout of the half for Molasses, I believe. The first one being the end of the win called by Tyler.
I can't remember. I'm not keeping track. There have been a lot of timeouts and stoppages. But please do stay tuned to the coverage. Keep active in the comments. Thank you, J-Dub, for correcting me. Her name is pronounced Shani. I am not very good with a lot of name pronunciation, so thank you very much. And as the players take a little break, we will also take a break. We will be with you in a moment. Welcome back to the live coverage of WMUCC from the University of Limerick. Molasses Disaster have just taken a timeout after a few stoppages and turnovers. So far they've been dominant in this game against Hijinks. How are they going to respond after this timeout? Getting their offense moving smoothly so far.
Yeah, this has been a really long point, and but this is an O point for Hijinks, which I think always matters in these really long points because the your players on your O-line are the most important to be fresh.
That disc sat a bit too high in the wind. It's sailing out of bounds. Wadsworth gets the disc moving into the hands of Schlosser. There has been a pick call in the end zone.
Judging by the openness of that receiver, it looks like it will have been their defender.
Schlosser was able to find Glick very comfortably. Schlosser does find a different receiver instead in the hands of Gilman. Gilman is another name that we've been saying over and over again. He's been a huge presence on defense here for HiJinx.
Yeah, he's a big athletic player with pretty good throws. So if they are going to find success, he's going to have a big part of it. And that was O-line hold, a very long, maybe 5+ minute O-line hold for HiJinx. So now the very fresh Molasses disaster O-line gets to come on and go downwind.
A lot of names we will be able to recognize, such as Kinley and Kinetti, as well as, actually can't read any numbers, here we go, Finn we have on the line as well. Finn being a huge presence for Molasses O-line.
Making that amazing downfield catch earlier behind her at the ground. And I believe I said she played for Nemesis earlier. She only lives in Chicago now. She never played Nemesis. She played Bent before playing Blackbird, which is the New York area team.
Molasses based out of the northeastern area of the United States. You have a little story about how their name came to be, don't you?
Yeah, I guess back in the 1800s, the molasses, while being fermented, distillery exploded, and thousands and thousands of gallons of boiling hot molasses moved down the streets of Boston and killed several people. So it really was a molasses disaster. And I guess they're trying to consume their opponents here like so much molasses.
They're proving to do that pretty effectively. HiJinx only having scored 3 points so far against them. HiJinx did play Molasses earlier on in the tournament and have only taken 1 loss, and that was to Molasses disaster. Molasses now moving the disc comfortably. That was Neubecker to Ferguson. Has an up the line cut in Cook. And Cook shoots that into the end zone. Another score for Molasses. That was Neubecker getting another stat to her name.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy, maybe 5-throw point there for Molasses. Just had to use their potential ability that they've shown to swing it across to threaten the receiver defenders, and so all the receivers were able to come back towards the line almost unobstructed.
Before this game, Neubecker is one of the, within the top contingent of the stats leaders for Molasses, having 17 goals and 4 assists to her name.
That's pretty great. And we want to say hi to her fans at home, her husband, and her 2 children. Her 2 children are Samantha and Carl. And her husband will remain nameless, but you know who you are out there.
So Molasses are now within 3 points of taking this game. HiJinx have really struggled against a very dominant side. Molasses moving the disc much more confidently than HiJinx so far. HiJinx do have the downwind advantage. We have seen the last few points there have been a loss of turns as a result of Molasses having to move upwind.
Yeah, I'm sure HiJinx would love to see an easy one here, and they're in good position now with a very short pole.
Werner gets it moving, finds Gilman. Signals for Werner to go down the line, and that was bounced off the chest.
It looked like, Werner was a little hesitant to cut against Kinley, and Gilman really, really had eyes for him, so ended up having a late stall turn.
Flynn, one of the main handlers, that rises over the top, but is found by Wilson.
Wilson, right on the spot, but ends up turfing it, trying to make it aggressive inside towards the end zone. But now HiJinx has the whole field to go.
Yoshido made a fantastic cut for Wilson. It's unfortunate for that to find the grass instead. Werner getting things moving, finds Gilman again, has the power position, chooses not to take it, but instead takes the dump, finds D'Onofrio. Centers to Gilman. There's quite a few options going deep, nothing necessarily coming under. D'Onofrio finding Limburg. Limburg takes the deep, has Werner, has McVeigh, finds McVeigh instead, giving HiJinx yet another point. They're not out of this game. They are wanting to show that they are still sticking around, that is now 12-5.
And due to the wind, that frisbee flew like an American football, just straight over the top and then straight down, so that Kinley never have an opportunity to make a jump at it.
This could be a game of downwind trades from now on.
Molasses would like that. And HiJinx, well, that would be death for them, so they need to maybe get, you know, just 1 point at a time, but they definitely need an upwinder right now.
I think it has to be mentioned as well, having both Werner and McVeigh in the end zone there, both of them had potential to get onto the disc. And for Werner to have the composure to see that the disc was more in favor for McVeigh to have better positioning, and him just letting her get to it. That's some very good inter-team spirit.
Yeah, he would have had to make a heck of a stab, and I doubt it would have been made, so it was the right choice for sure.
The HiJinx D-line, very powerful so far. They have slowed Molasses down a fair few times. As we're edging towards what could possibly be the end of the game, how will they able to convert this D? Pull goes up. It's quite a rolly pull. That is very good for a rolly pull, but is kicked back. Canetti. Kaplan has to go to knees. Finds Anderson immediately. Has Ferguson moving. High release backhand over the top, does find Ferguson. Ferguson was in a power position, but chooses to take Canetti instead, going up the line. Nice dump, tries to find the swing. Quick pop to Anderson. There is another call.
A little discussion about whether the pick affected the players. The defenders seeming to say that it did.
For anyone that is possibly curious on the stream, HiJinx's kit is a dark base with white flowers over it. I'm not sure how close of a shot. There you go. Beautiful flowers. It does look nicer from up close than it does from further away, I will have to say that.
If you squint your eyes and move the shirts away from you, a dolphin pops out. Wow.
Ooh, fantastic bid from Ano, saving possession. There has been a little bit of a bump on the mark. But what a grab, what a save. Get to watch that again. Fantastic awareness going to grass.
The HiJinx defender, after getting the tip, thought for sure that he had the D and almost turned and ran upfield.
This stays with Ano. Ferguson. High release backhand over the top, comfortably into the hands of Palmer. And Molasses are again just dominant. This does seem to be a downwind trade.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of smoothly using the wind to take it to their players. That high release backhand has been really useful for them with fewer errors than HiJinx have shown.
Molasses' offense has been so clinical. They haven't been afraid to take on some braver shots though. We've definitely seen some really risky upwind hucks, and then the floaty high release, either flicks or backhands, just soaring into the hands of the receivers. HiJinx not able to anticipate that as easily as some other shots.
Yeah, like I think we talked about earlier, it's it can be frustrating because you play good underneath defense, take away the traditional throwing lane, but because of this wind, the Molasses is able to just toss it over the defender's head and it lands into the receiver's hands.
So this last few points of this game has been a game of trades. So it is probably comfortable to predict that Hijinks will be able to pop this one in on the downwind, but Molasses won't let them get that easily. Nolt. Cross to Manning.
If history's been an indication, they'll probably send it deep pretty soon. They usually tend to get about 5 or 6 swings before finding the opportunity that they were looking for to send it deep.
Keenan was free on the under, but there is a pick or a foul call. We do have Keenan, well, the number 69 shirt as Keenan on the roster. Beautiful inside shot.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Limburg has been blocked. What awareness was that? That was incredible from Dana.
Yeah, I don't know if she even saw it, but just perfect timing and awareness of the situation. And there she is underneath, picking the disc up when her thrower needed her.
Brzezinski swings it really wide across to Fazekas, but not able to find her. Hijinks with another opportunity for their hold. Low, having to go to ground, just flips out of the hands of Limburg.
That's unfortunate. He made a great catch and just wasn't to be.
Seaver finds Brzezinski, having to go higher than he wanted. Very low flick, just tips down. Was looking for Dana.
Jones with a timely D.
Limburg finds Nolt, having to bid. That was Swearin.
A great bid again. These Hijinks receivers are not showing any quit, doing everything they can to prolong this game.
This wind is proving to be a little bit more difficult again today. Thankfully, no sideways rain compared to some other days.
Yeah, just like every few minutes here, you just can't predict what's gonna happen next. So had some great calm moments today, but yeah, definitely tough moment right now.
Yeah, it's always jacket on, jacket off, jacket on, jacket off, trying to switch and figure out what kind of temperature you're wanting to be at. Oshiro, sorry. Finds Altobelli. Some sort of injury call. A lot of hand signals being used. I'm not sure whether they are correct or not.
Maybe now they're just trying to make up for the fact that they don't use them enough and just throwing things out there. But we have game advisors to help with the hand signals as well. That's one thing the game advisors do, is try to listen in, see what was called, and reflect the hand signal.
So the game advisors do not have final say on anything. They're allowed to provide their opinion or their perspective, and they can clarify rules, but they are not able to actually say, okay, this is the ruling. The players still have the responsibility to figure out what's happening. Altobelli manages to find it on the high stall count Derling, but Derling has been pushed out of the pitch. That looks quite painful. He drops it.
Yeah, I think the defender there just kind of dropped on it. That was Manning, kind of fell accidentally on his ankle, so he's going to take a sub.
Hopefully they can have a discussion later on once things have cooled off a bit.
It looks like Ferguson coming in his stead.
Molasses on the sideline, finding Seaver. And you were correct, Ferguson was the player switched on. Ferguson taking an extra second, not concentrating. Nolt. Backhand across to Limburg. Limburg wanting to look deep and Nolt going straight up the line. He's running out of options. Does find Nolt coming back under. It's a game of Nolt and Limburg so far, but they do find Swearin. Limburg eyes for the end zone. Nolt having to jink back and forth. Backhand around, that was a fantastic shot finding Manning. Another foul in the stack.
Nolte with the disc, Limburg to his right, Manning to his left.
Stack is really clustered again. They seem to have this structure where they want to stay really tight to each other, but also still very close to the handlers, and it is causing a lot of picks and fouls. Violation call, signaled by the extended arms in the air, almost like a V shape, V for violation. Nolt pivoting. Has a few cuts coming under and another pick call. Hijinks can hopefully clean something up after this point. Manning fakes the forehand, has a wide force. The around backhand comes off. It is well received by Hansen.
Yeah, and that's the kind of throws that Molasses have been doing to good effect, and you see HiJinx do it as well. So good patience on the end zone line to get in for HiJinx.
Apologies, that was Deaver, Melanie Deaver, number 12. I spotted the number 2 and just went with it, but I was incorrect. But now HiJinx bringing in an extra point. It is now 13-5. As predicted, this is becoming a game of trades downwind. This wind playing a huge role in stifling the offense of both teams. Reading your comments. The cap is at 100 minutes at WMUCC. So we still have a good 12 minutes of regulation game time. That is if we don't reach the cap of 15.
Yeah, if they trade, it would probably get rated around 100. So it'll be very close.
So remember, if you are enjoying the coverage from WMUCC, please do make sure that you subscribe to the WFDF YouTube channel. We will be having free coverage for the rest of the tournament. Production is brought to you by Alti TV. Please do support them on YouTube, on Patreon. They try to bring free Ultimate to the masses around the world, purely out of love. And you can do so by supporting them on Patreon. So we see Molasses getting the disc moving super quickly. I wasn't able to keep up with that play. That was so swift and smooth and perfect. Molasses again showing how dominant they have been throughout this game.
Yeah, it was Maddie Anderson with reception. That was probably the best point we've seen in ages, as far as cleanliness, keeping it on the sideline too. With the way the wind's blowing, that far sideline from the cameras is the best sideline to be on. You can hit both sides of the field more easily. And so they did a good job, unlike a lot of the other points where people have been caught on this near sideline, kept it on that high sideline, and showed how easy it was to move down the field.
I didn't actually catch what was on that player's stomach. If anyone could tell me in the comments, that would be very much appreciated. But an interesting score celebration. We have Sandy Canetti in the comments, very active. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm assuming family member of Canetti for Molasses.
And there we are. That's the 7th traded point in a row. So, like you predicted it when it happened, we'd probably start trading as people get a little tired on the D line and the wind picks up. So, let's see if HiJinx can continue the trend of trading and prolong this game.
Crawford surveying, has a lot of cuts but nothing too available. Beautiful break throw. Disc will probably stay in the hands of number 6. We see that again.
Number 6, and we found out his name, even though he's not on the roster, was Rai Cotin. So an interesting name to go with. Interesting shoes and socks.
Very easy to spot him on the stream, definitely. So Cotin on disc. Stack quite deep now, hopefully giving the front view a good bit of space. Cray fumbling it a little bit, but finds Crawford.
And it looks like Crawford's defender knows that she wants to go deep and is doing her best to stay behind her.
Cotin skies in the end zone. What a grab. The power of the pink socks. That was fantastic.
Yeah, Kinley realized he wasn't going to be able to jump, held up so as not to create an injury, and made Cotin look good. Saw his belly button.
His belly button?
Yeah, because Cotin jumped up and Kinley's face was right at his belly button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant he was just going to rip his top up and show off his belly button to
I mean,
people.
maybe later, but no, it's, yeah. It's what happens when you get dunked on.
That was some fantastic play from HiJinx, and again, we are trading. Downwind so far is 14-6. Can HiJinx bring on a D-line that will be able to get a break to stop this Molasses roll? They are within 1 point of taking this game.
Yeah, so, yep. Game point going downwind for Molasses. Let's see how calm they can be. They've been very wise in their execution the past, I don't know, 5 points here. So let's see what they can do.
So Molasses O-line coming out now. Really good pull as the wind died down for a few seconds. Anderson rising. Sending that deep. There was a forced middle and HiJinx reeling that one in. Werner.
I would assume the stall count had to be high and the thrower felt forced to do that.
Lindbergh stuck on this sideline trying to pull receivers underneath. That disc is high, but well read. Actually very well placed as well.
Very powerful throw.
That was McVeigh on the reception. Gilman dumps it off to Nolt. Finds Werner. Immediately throw and go. Pivoting, backhand, Stolkamp rising, finds underneath. Sending deep to Werner. Werner in the end zone, easy reception. That is a break for HiJinx.
Wow, and the game goes on. That's their first end of the win score. Maybe since the first half, but really impressive. Really impressive work there. Good throws into the wind. That huge flick across the field that really got things rolling for them. So now Molasses is going to have to try to score into the wind for the first time in a while on offense.
Yeah, they've done it before. In fact, we had 6 breaks in the first half. So they've done it at least 3 times. But that is the first break for HiJinx. It is now 14-7. HiJinx with their Daywalker jerseys. They're looking very jazzy.
Yeah, I don't understand any of the derision of those jerseys. I think they're great. I think it has something to do with Colorado. Colorado up in the mountains has some great spring blooms that just take over the whole sides of mountains. So I think that's what the jersey's meant to reflect. So maybe, they can go lay in a bed of flowers in the mountains and blend in.
I would love to see that. You play Snake in the Grass, but just you're amongst flowers instead.
That's great.
So Molasses on offense now. Kaplan throws it across to Cook.
I've been impressed by the tenacity of Kaplan's undercuts. She's a really hard runner who doesn't seem to get tired. She's been matched up with Crawford a bit, which kind of neutralizes her effectiveness just because Crawford's such a great player, but she never stops running.
And Hijinks catching that after a huge disc. A couple of players down.
There's a bit of a car wreck underneath the player with the disc right now, so she had to jump over her. So we're definitely going to have to take a stoppage of play there.
They're having a quick discussion. For anyone that is maybe not as aware about Frisbee, this is a self-refereed sport, which means that it's the responsibility of the players to have the discussions themselves to figure out the resolution of a call. WFDF, the World Flying Disc Federation, being the governing body and supporting and promoting the global advancement of disc sports and spirit of the game.
So we got a no foul call. The Molasses player was injured, so they'll take a sub, but it will be a turnover. It will remain, the disc will remain with Schlosser.
Schlosser immediately finds D'Onofrio. Jones back to D'Onofrio. D'Onofrio having to go low. That disc soars out of the hands. Good read, but just off the fingertips rather than catching into the palms. And Molasses now having to work the entire upwind pitch. Kaplan. Solkan rising. The wind is getting a lot stronger, but she finds Cook. Cook with a huge high release. One player rises, the others stay down. D'Onofrio. Back to Jones. Jones having to go for the big flick across. Huge bit across, but does not reach the hands of Wadsworth.
Good try by Wadsworth. That disc was coming so hot. And you see now that the wind is certainly picked up now, without a doubt, and sustained, unlike the brief spurts we've had earlier. So we're unlikely to see an into the wind score unless this wind calms down.
Wadsworth coming off the pitch, being replaced by Werner. Some other subs being taken in favor for the Molasses offense going upwind.
That's Corey Flynn coming in.
Molasses from the front end zone corner. The stack is really tight, but they find the break option up the line.
It's beautiful up into the wind throw, kind of using the wind to set it on a shelf.
Cook with a low throw, just out of the hands of Anno. Hijinks have the downwind to their advantage. Are they going to look deep? No, they find the dump option. They had two there, but Diva took that on. Werner. High disc again. Really well read by Kaplan.
Kaplan working hard.
She wants this point. They know that they are within 1 point of winning. Molasses have only about 2/3 of the pitch to work. As long as they can stay calm and composed, take it nice and easy, stick within the structures. Ferguson. No cuts being generated as of yet. Looks to his dump. Safe hands. That was Flynn. has Cook on the other side. Cook with the big fakes finds Ferguson for a break. Down the sideline to Kaplan. Kaplan being so pivotal for this Molasses O-line. Low disc, but Cook reels it in. There is a pick downfield.
And that whistle you heard was the time cap, and so it was probably always going to be with this big lead, a game to 15, but now it's official.
Neubecker. There is a foul call in the stack as well, but Neubecker is very close to the front end zone line. Molasses are within meters of taking this game unless Hijinks can find that extra gear to get the turn. Disc check back in. Fakes the around. Neubecker is down. Steps back up again. Not sure what happened there.
No, I'm not sure either. I think she was breakdancing.
Takes on the under from Anderson. Big fakes. Timeout foul call?
Just a foul. They don't have any timeouts, and it was definitely a foul. He reached for the high release fake and got hit, so he called the foul.
Around to Flynn. Flynn has a lot of options. Takes on the high release flick. Has the bidding Anderson. Anderson was not aware that that disc was in the air.
Yeah, he had a few options. I thought the round backhand early to Kaplan would have been the move, but waited and took a tougher inside throw.
Hijinks takes a huge under. Successful catch from D'Onofrio. D'Onofrio looking immediately deep. Has Werner streaking. Can he read it? He reads it perfectly. Does not have anyone else to help back up. Quick dump option into the hands of Diva. Hijinks take the downwind, bringing the score closer now to 14-8.
It's a game to 15, but which I guess was obvious, but even with the time cap, we would add one now, so it's a game to 15 regardless. So now Molasses Disaster will have the win, going downwind. For the second time, they will get a chance to score downwind for the game.
We haven't seen Kinley in quite a while from their O-line. Not sure whether he's choosing not to play or whether he's being rested. Maybe he trusts in the rest of his team to be able to convert. There has been a timeout called. So
maybe he got banged up. I see him on the other sideline walking a little gingerly. So yeah, maybe he's trying to wait out the rest of this game to rest whatever his ailment is.
So just as the teams take a quick timeout, we will also take a break. We will be with you in a few minutes. Welcome back to the coverage from WMUCC from the University of Limerick. This is the Grandmaster Mixed semi-final of Hijinks versus Molasses Disaster. Bjorn, can you tell us what's happened so far in this game?
Well, yeah, the Hijinks offense and defense took their time, but they woke up and they got an end of the win score. Played some good defense on the upwind end zone, And so they've clawed their way somewhat back into this game, at least made it respectable on the scoreboard.
Palmer shoots to Finn. Finn having to bid. Does so successfully. Dumps it off to Cook. Wide throw over to Canetti. Good to see Canetti back on the pitch after a little bit of a stumble earlier on. Finds Cook in the end zone. Molasses taking the win. Molasses Disaster are in the Grandmaster Mixed Final for WMUCC 2022. Bjorn, what a game.
Yeah, that was a tale of two halves for sure. But the first half by Molasses was so dominant, it was nearly impossible to overcome by HiJinx. We saw Tyler Kinley kind of powered them in the first half, but their downwind offense powered them in the second half. They had some great receivers, some great play out of Dana downfield, and the other side had some great receiving from Werner, and really, I think HiJinx was better than that. I'm sure they'll be upset with themselves, but they can still work hard for the bronze medal in the division tomorrow.
Yeah, that was a fantastic matchup. Credits to HiJinx for putting on a last-minute effort, really pushing Molasses to their edge. And congratulations, Molasses Disaster, you are in the final for WMUCC Grandmaster Mixed Division. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Please do subscribe to the WFDF YouTube channel. Keep supporting Ulti TV. And just a reminder that this broadcast is copyright WFDF 2022. I've been Gigi Morrison with Bjorn Shea. Thank you very much for joining, and see you soon.
Goodbye.
Ulti.tv